Conor McGregor is the biggest star in UFC history. Even after all the losses, all the controversy, Conor McGregor is still as popular as ever, and his fight against Michael Chandler at UFC 303 is trending everywhere. But some people might forget, why is Conor McGregor such a superstar? Why do so many people still love Conor McGregor? Well, let's go back to the beginning, to Conor McGregor's first UFC fight against Marcus Brimage. Even before this fight, Conor McGregor was a super popular local star in Ireland. He absolutely smashed the Cage Warriors scene. He was a double champ in Cage Warriors, which would foreshadow his future UFC career. Let's get back to his UFC debut though. He absolutely destroyed Marcus Brimage. Not only did he have a super exciting, devastating knockout in his first fight, but his post-fight interview was legendary. That was the night the 60 G's baby line was created. And honestly, that one fight alone already made Conor a star in the UFC. This was the first stop on the Conor McGregor hype train. But let's go on to Conor McGregor's second fight. And this fight aged like fine wine. His second fight in the UFC was against Max Holloway. And in this fight, he actually showed off a lot of his wrestling and grappling ability. But what's even more impressive about this fight is Conor McGregor won this fight with a torn ACL. And of course, you guys know Max Holloway ended up having a super successful UFC career after this loss to Conor McGregor. So after Conor McGregor beat Max Holloway, he had to take some time off for his ACL to recover. But when he came back, he was in his first UFC main event in his home country, Ireland, at the O2 Arena. He knocked out Diego Brandao in the first round, and the crowd went wild. At this point in Conor's career, the hype train is full steam ahead. Everybody in the MMA community is talking about Conor McGregor. But in Conor's next fight, he really gets to show off his full arsenal that would come to make him even more popular. His unrivaled trash talk. His next fight was against Dustin Poirier at UFC 178. There was a lot of trash talk and a lot of bad blood between these two. Dustin did not like Conor at all, and Conor McGregor was completely in his head. And there was a lot of hype around this fight because Poirier was a legit contender in the UFC featherweight division. But then when the octagon closed and they finally got to fight each other, Conor McGregor knocked him out in under 2 minutes of the first round. The hype was real. And another thing that Conor McGregor was doing is he was doing a good job of predicting his fights. And he gave himself this nickname, Mystic Mac, because it was kind of freaky how accurately he could predict how his fights would go. It's like he had a crystal ball that looked into the future and he just knew exactly what he was going to do in the fight. So these were some of the reasons people just fell in love with Conor McGregor. But we're not even close to Conor McGregor's peak yet. We still got a couple more fights left. So Conor McGregor takes a little bit of a step down against Dennis Siver. And Dennis Siver was an okay fighter, but not anything great. This was a little bit of a gimme fight for Conor McGregor. So yeah, it was another dominant second round KO for Conor McGregor. We got to see a little bit of Conor McGregor's takedown defense in this fight, which is good, but it's not like Dennis Siver is a high-level wrestler or anything like that. But hey, it was enough for Conor McGregor to get a title shot against Jose Aldo. Now let's talk about 2015, the worst year of Jose Aldo's life. Jose Aldo and Conor McGregor had a worldwide press conference tour. And guys, if you're a Jose Aldo fan, this was a brutal time because Jose Aldo was getting brutalized by the fans, by Conor McGregor. Jose Aldo had never gone against somebody who used so much mental warfare on him. And I think it was too much because the first time they were scheduled to fight, Jose Aldo pulled out with a rib injury. So what's Conor McGregor going to do now? Well, he fights Chad Mendes on super short notice. Now, if you look at the narrative behind this fight, so many people say, oh, Chad Mendes, he took it on short notice and he would have beat Conor McGregor, blah, blah, blah. But here's the thing, Conor McGregor also took this fight on short notice against a super bad matchup, a stocky wrestler. This fight was a huge test for Conor McGregor because this was the best wrestler, grappler that he had ever gone against. And the fight was super tough for Conor McGregor. He really struggled in this fight, but ironically, surprisingly, Chad Mendes gassed out and Conor McGregor was able to take advantage of that. Now, if you know anything about Conor McGregor, you know his gas tank isn't good either. So it was pretty shocking to see Conor McGregor outlasting somebody and then finishing them because they gassed out. But After he TKO'd Chad Mendes in the second round, he won the UFC featherweight interim title. And then finally, Jose Aldo versus Conor McGregor got rescheduled for UFC 194. The odds were even, and so many people were picking Jose Aldo to beat Conor McGregor. Jose Aldo was on a huge win streak, and he defended his title so many times. People were really favoring Jose Aldo's experience in this fight. So when it finally happened on December 12th, 2015, Conor McGregor knocked out Jose Aldo in 13 seconds. And this is when Conor McGregor officially became a superstar. His story was amazing. He was this poor guy on welfare. His family, no one believed him. The only people that believed Conor McGregor was his team and his girlfriend. And that belief in Conor was so significant that it allowed him to become the biggest star in UFC history. So where does Conor McGregor go after this? Does he defend the featherweight title? What does he do? Well, he gets scheduled against RDA, who's the current lightweight champion at the time. This was supposed to be at UFC 196, but RDA had to pull out of the fight because he had a broken foot. And then Conor McGregor does what he does, and he challenges Nate Diaz as the replacement fight for RDA. And in this fight, there was no title on the line. Conor just wanted to give us a fight. His confidence was so high that he could fight someone like Nate Diaz, who's in a higher weight division than him, no problem, no worries at all. And on top of all of that, this fight was at welterweight. The fight against RDA was supposed to be at 155 at lightweight, but Nate Diaz had complications making the weight, so Conor was like, you know what? Let's just have it at 170. But here's the thing, Conor McGregor's luck ran out this time. He took too much of a gamble and it didn't pay off, sadly. First round against Nate Diaz, he was doing pretty well, but in the second round, he got really gassed. Then he shot a desperation double leg and then got submitted by Nate Diaz. Now this was huge for Nate Diaz, but this was not good for Conor McGregor. So what does Conor McGregor do after losing to Nate Diaz? Does he go back down the featherweight? Does he wait for RDA to get healthy again and then fight for the lightweight belt? No, he decides to basically put his career on hold to have a rematch with Nate Diaz. And he wants to do the rematch at 170 at the same weight. A lot of people were really questioning Conor McGregor's choice because if Conor lost to Nate Diaz twice, that would totally ruin the hype. Sure, he'd still be the featherweight champion, but Nate Diaz, who wasn't really known as like a top high-level fighter, being the guy to beat Conor McGregor twice, that would have totally taken the wind out of the sails. Now, this rematch was supposed to happen at UFC 200, but there were some contract disputes and stuff like that. But at UFC 202, the rematch happens and Conor McGregor actually beats Nate Diaz, and he has an absolute war with him. Now, it was by majority decision, and it wasn't an easy fight for Conor McGregor. So not everybody was back on the Conor train, but he definitely picked some steam back up. So we have a new lightweight champion, Eddie Alvarez, and Conor McGregor's going to fight him at UFC 205. Now, even though Conor McGregor has proven himself to be a great fighter, there were still a lot of people that were doubting him. Eddie Alvarez was a complete fighter, super balanced, and he was bigger and stronger than these other featherweights he went against, and he's a bit more athletic than Nate Diaz, not gonna lie. So the fight finally goes down, and what happens? Well, Conor McGregor dominates him, knocks him out in the second round. And right here, this moment is the absolute peak of Conor McGregor's career. He's done it. He's become the double champion, just like he did in Cage Warriors, he did here in the UFC. So let's answer the question, why did everyone love Conor McGregor, and why do people still love Conor McGregor? Well, there's a lot of reasons. He was very entertaining. He had great trash talk. He had great fighting ability. His striking was very creative, very fluid. He took a lot of risks as well. Fighting Nate Diaz the first and second time, that was a big risk. Fighting Chad Mendes on short notice. But it was also how Conor McGregor was able to perfectly, accurately predict his fights before they even happened. But the biggest reason I believe Conor McGregor was loved by so many people is how relatable he was. He really came from nothing. And his story, how he was able to rise up and become the biggest star in UFC history, is so good it will inspire anybody. And my short retrospective of his career doesn't do it justice. And look, people still hold on to that attachment to Conor McGregor. Even after all the controversies, after all the losses, people still love Conor McGregor. But hey, that's just what I think. What do you guys think? Do you guys think people still like Conor McGregor, still love Conor McGregor? Or am I missing the mark? Is he past his prime? No one loves him anymore. He's not a star anymore. I don't know. Let me know down in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, please like, comment, and subscribe to the LSFC YouTube channel. Thank you so much for watching. And if you're interested in becoming an LSFC core member, please click the join button down below for exclusive channel perks and access to our LSFC grappling resources, which is great if you're doing wrestling or jiu-jitsu, MMA, anything like that. A bunch of amazing resources to help you level up your game even further. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great rest of your day. Goodbye.